right. Welcome back, watch fans, to our first show of the year. That's right, first show of 2025. The only honest watch channel on the internet. That's right, the only honest watch channel, excuse me, on the internet. And today we're talking about uh, Patek Philippe watches to avoid, and as well as ones which are the icons which will be increasing in value. So basically, what the idea is today, we're going to find out what are the Patek watches you need to avoid. Because again, Patek Philippe, Thierry Stern, that's the grandson, he's making what we call a peasant pivot. Thierry is pivoting the company to mass market, to supply the peasant hordes out there with shitter watches, and this is especially the case with the new annual calendars, the perpetuals, pretty much everything that Thierry Stern has been churning out. Now let's understand why this is happening. First of all, we need to understand the cause of this. The cause is very simple. Thierry's got a 240-foot yacht, a yacht, the Nautilus, appropriately named. Now, this boat, 240 feet, you know what it costs to fuel that? You know what it costs to dock that boat? The slip fees. I don't think you have a slip. I think it's is it a mooring? I don't know. It's not technically. I don't think it would be a slip fee, but it would be what is it? It's got to be, oh geez, I don't even know. Like it could be $30 the cost would be astronomical. But then again, if you have a 240-foot yacht, the least of your concerns really are the slip fees and the fuel costs. Basically, let's see, the boat, it's available for how much? I think a couple million a week you can charter it for, a couple million a week. But the operating costs on this it's got to be close to 10 million a year, maybe 7 million a year, right? Plus he's got a jet. I mean, he's got a lot of expenses. It's got a lot of expenses. And guess who's paying for it? You are. That's right. The suckers are paying for it. And how? Let's understand how the suckers are, paying for Terry's yacht. Well, it's basically through the peasant watches that Patek has been churning out in the last number of, let's call it, really, I don't know, 5-10 years. Really, it's been going on. I would say 10 years. The Thierry Stern regime has begun churning these out in bulk. So first, let's understand exactly what Patek Philippe is and what it's not. What exactly is really the ethos of Patek? The ethos of Patek is timeless elegance and high complications. All right. So when we're talking about, for example, the icon of Patek Philippe, it really is the 3940. Again, I'm a little bit biased. But you know what? The market has proven me to be correct. Why? Because the 3940s have been increasing. Wow, we got a new baron. We have a new aristocrat that's joined. That's right. A new aristocrat has joined the cult, and he's going to have access to all our top secret videos and other services. That's right. Unbelievable but true. We got the Green Rush. Unbelievable but true. So let's take a look exactly at the icon of Patek, which is really very simple. This is it right here, my friends. The icon of Patek is the 3940, which is available in white gold, pink gold, yellow gold, and platinum. Any of my favorite really would be, I would say, the rose yellow the rose yellow white gold. They're all the same to me. I mean, they all have their pros and cons. White gold is more timeless. It's more classical, a little bit more modern. I don't want to use the word youthful, but it's it's a little bit more modern, timeless. The platinum is one you want to avoid because it does not have a transparent case back. That's right. The platinum is a solid case back. And by the way, when you get your watch, make sure you get the full set. And the full set does include a solid case back. Not that you're ever going to want to use it, but it does include it. Just because back in the day, when it was Philippe Stern running the company, he wanted to let you know that, hey, you know what? When you buy this watch, we're not giving you this transparent case back to save to skimp costs for cost engineering to save an ounce of gold in your watch. No, we're going to give you that solid case back, even though you're never going to use it. I have my solid case back sitting inside the the little case it came in. The little actually, no, I didn't get a case. It comes in this more like box like this, and the pusher, all that. So this is the classic. What makes it a classic? Very simple. Very simple. This look is timeless. You don't know when this design was made. Was it made? That's right. That's right. You don't know when this watch was made. It could have been made in in the 50s, in the 2000s, in the year 3000. You don't know. It's classic and timeless. Look at this design. I mean, it's not easy to do this. It really is not. Look how many people have done crappy watches. I can go into all the details about the case. I mean, the watch just flows. It's just like, and it's thin. That's the other thing you have to understand. The whole idea of Patek, when you're talking about timeless elegance, is you want to have a thin case. You want to have a very thin, slim case, and you want to pack high complications into it. Because that's how Patek, I mean, that's basically how, that's how the watchmaker, shows you his skill. The watchmaker demonstrates to you his skill, his expertise, by cramming in all these incredible complications, a perpetual calendar, into this thin, slim, elegant case design. That's the whole trick, right? That's the gesture. That's the demonstration of mastery. Okay, so when you're talking Patek, you want high complications, slim, elegant design, right? And that's always been the case until Thierry Stern. Thierry Stern has pivoted to the peasant masses. He has been churning out watches like this, which is the Archie. This is the type of thing that the Archie luxury, the Chomo Stanis, the CUCKISTANis are buying. The peasants are buying this watch, and this is the watch that pays for Thierry Stern's yacked bills. That's right, the hookers, the drugs. Well, okay, I'm kidding. I have no idea what he's doing on this yacked. I have no idea. But look what happened. Cost engineering. That's right, cost engineering. They're trying to cut corners. You see how much thicker the watch is? It's not. They're not trying to make it so that it's they're basically cutting corners. Oh, you do. Oh, this is the solid case back. Okay, I'm actually shocked that they even include this because this is $2,500 in gold right there. Right there, my friends, $2,500 in gold. It's about an ounce. And you get the pusher. By the way, that's the pusher that you get. It's very cheap plastic. It's really junk, just like their box is junk in the trunk. It's a cheap plastic pusher. JLC, Jaeger Le Culte, does a much better pusher, and their watch you can get for $9,000. Now, here's the problem with the watch. I'll explain to you in 3 words. Here is the mark of a peasant watch. First of all, the case. What is the point of these extra? Look at the lugs. It's got those extra things going on there. What's the point of that? It's overproduced. It's overproduced, right? Now, when you get into design, we're in the year 2025. This watch was made in 4 years ago. And yet, they're trying to make this look like an old-fashioned watch. They're trying to give it a vintage vibe. They're trying to do a vintage vibe, but it's not a vintage vibe. You know what kind of vibe it is? It's a pedo vibe. That's right, pedo vibes. Unbelievable, but true. This is the type of watch you wear when you're a member of, when you're a citizen of CUCKISTAN, Chomostan, and Bukyakistan. Yeah, that's the problem with this watch. The numerals Now, here's the thing. This actually was a fine design in the 1930s into the 1940s. Okay. This was a vintage look in the 1930s and 40s. It's a dated look. At that time, in the 1930s and 40s, it would have been considered, contemporary. It would have been the look, right? It's almost like imagine you ever see you ever go to you ever go to London, you see those guys, the guards that the queen and the king have. They got that wool, that fur hat on top of their head, the beef eaters, whatever they call all those guards she's got, with the livery, all that stuff, right? They're dressed up like it's 1700, right? They're dressed like they walked out of 1775, right? It looks out of place today, right? It really looks out of place. It's kind of cool. I get it. It's kind of cool, but you know what? It's obsolete. And the problem here is they're doing a 1930s, 40s look, which is really, it's dated. That's the problem with this look. If you look at Breguet is actually a little bit more timeless, but it's a dated look. The benefit you have is, okay, you got lume here. Now, here's the thing. Okay, these syringe hands, again, dated. Everything about the watch is dated. Now, here is the real crime. The real crime, I'm going to point out the real crime to you on this watch. There is that's the 4 or 5 fonts. There we go. The sentient champ understands the details. The problem with Patek has always been, actually, I don't mind the fonts on this dial, because the fonts here are kind of like, they're not great, and Patek has never done great fonts. That's been a bit of a weakness for them. Their fonts, the font game at Patek has much to be desired. I mean, it's always been a weak area for them. Definitely with Thierry. Look at the way the guy dresses. He really has no sense of style. I mean, it's not, by the way, it's nothing personal. I'm sure he's a great guy and all that, but he's not the guy, I'm going to ask for advice on, I don't know, where to get a suit made. You know what I mean? Here is the issue. Have you guessed what it is? It's the seconds hand. That's right. The seconds hand. You see that little seconds hand? That is the mark of a peasant watch. A perpetual calendar, which is really the ultimate achievement for any watch manufacturer. The perpetual calendar is the ultimate watch, not the minute repeater. I know these minute repeater or chronograph, they talk about, it's not. Those things are just gimmicks. Those things are just gimmicks to, for the peasants who don't know any better. I mean, nobody needs a minute repeater. Nobody needs the chronograph. Those things are useless, right? Perpetual calendar is useful. Now, here's the issue. I'm going to get into the windows in a second. The real crime, and this is this should be a capital crime. You have a seconds hand. A perpetual calendar does not need a seconds hand. Why? Because it's made for the aristocrat who does not need to know that the watch is functioning, right? If the watch is a good watch, if it's a high quality watch, you don't need. The purpose of the second hand really is so that when you have a piece of garbage, when the second hand is moving, it tells you that the watch is still functioning, right? That's what it really is. It's just designed to give you some confidence that the thing is functioning. But if the watch is quality, you don't need to have a seconds hand, right? And besides, an aristocrat doesn't need to know what the seconds are, because you're not clocking in at the 7-Eleven. We got another Baron. We got Baron Davidson. We have multiple aristocrats and barons in the house. We have Baron Davidson. We have Baron Sentient Champ, new member, new channel aristocrat, and how do the peasants become barons? Well, how do they do it? Right here. Click the link. Well, actually, click the join button. That's right. You click the join button, and instantly, there's going to be an instant transformation in your life. Money, women, power, Patek, AP, Rolex, Rolls Royce. It all comes into your life. It all just falls out of the heavens into your lap instantly. That's right, instantly when you become a baron. But for $4.95 a month, and you'll have the legal right to call yourself a baron. So your name, in other words, your friends and family should refer to you as Baron Davidson or whatever, Baron Smith, whatever your name is. You're no longer just Smith. You're Baron Smith. Okay. See this? There's not a second hand here. This is elegance, right? You don't want a second hand to be messing up your dial. It clutters the dial. And all the peasant watches, the second hand is the mark of the peasant watch. And I'm going to show you all the criminal watches that Thierry Stern is doing right now, all the criminal watches that Thierry Stern is churning out from his peasant factories so that you can pay for this yacht with this crappy fake basket. Maybe it's a real basket. I don't know, but you definitely do not want to have a white basket. That's garbage. But this is Thierry Stern's yacht. It's a 240-foot yacht, which costs $10 million a year to operate, right? Who's paying it for it? The peasants who are buying this garbage right here. That's right. This is mass-produced junk in the trunk. So again, you got the second hand. Now let's see. Let's look at some other second-hand watches. You got the, let's see. Let's take a look at this guy. 5205, the 5205. This watch is very popular with the CUCKISTANis. That's right, the citizens of CUCKISTAN, which is that's the CUCKISTANis, the JJ watch hangout, the what is it, the OCuck watch colony. Those are the CUCKISTANis. That's not the Bukyakistan. Actually, JJ is the Bukyakistan, and then you got Curly is the Chomostan. What's the problem with this watch? I'll tell you right now. It's the second hand, and also the windows. The windows are for peasants, right? These windows, day and date, that's for peasants. Why? Because a gentleman is able to figure out, what time, the day of the week, the day, the date. They can read on a dial. They don't need to be told like a child. This is for children. Like this stuff is for children, because these days, the kids today, they don't even know how to tell the time because they don't have analog clocks. They have, just this type of digital stuff with windows. This is, when you have something like this, you're just one step away from an Apple Watch. This is just one step away from having an Apple Watch on your wrist. Really, this is a crime. Now, the colors are beautiful, actually. I love this green, and the rose gold. Beautiful. I think it's amazing. I really do. I actually like the dolphin hands, but then again, you got the windows and you got the second hand, because again, this tells you it's a dead giveaway. It's made for peasants. Now, again, back to the other peasant watch. What do you notice? It's got the windows here so that the peasants can see that it's Wednesday and it's February. It's very messy. It's a hot mess. And then you got this at it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. You got the calendar wheel at the bottom. Now let me explain to you one or three things, right? This is basically a copy of this. This is the 3448, really one of the great classics of Patek, but this had the seeds of destruction sown in when they made this. Beautiful case. I mean, very modern for its time. I mean, look at this case. It's just sexy. I mean, it's a little bit big. It is big. It's a little bit like, but you see the lugs, they kind of drop down so it fits on your wrist. There's something about it. It's almost like a brutalist design. I think it was Pierre Hagman was the guy that made it. It's actually a very cool case. You look at the way the bezel is kind of done. It's very cool. It's a very like 60. It's really like a 50s design, to be honest. It's a little bit of a dated look, and it came out in the 70s. Very cool. But look how elegant and classic this is. Now, you don't have a seconds hand. You notice that? There's no seconds hand. Why is there not a seconds hand? Because it was Philippe Stern that was in charge of the company back then. By the way, this is a blue chip. This is a classic. If you can get one of these for like, I don't know, under 200 grand, it's money in the bank. It's an icon, uh, and it is the blue chip of Patek Philippe, along with the 3940, I would say. Look how cool that looks, actually. I mean, that's a nice picture also. But you notice that? It's again, you got the windows, and I think of the Stern family. I think it was Philippe Stern or whatever. He really likes these windows instead of the dials, the sub dials, which is, I think it's a bit of a weakness. It's not good, but I think because you don't have a second hand, it makes it, you can get away with it. Now the problem is, right? What happened is they started doing this look, right? They copied this kind of clean, this very simple, very elegant design. They copied it to the 5396. This is the ultimate peasant watch. Now, I have to admit, I committed the crime of actually owning one of these for a short period of time. But I learned my lesson right away, and I ended up trading for the 3940, which worked out amazingly. But you can get these, I mean, pretty cheap. I actually think it may not be a bad deal. It's a bit of a compromise watch, but listen, look how fast they're dropping. 28 grand. Here's the problem with the 5396. Let me explain to you one or three things, right? So you notice what they did here? You no longer have a 31-day calendar. No. What they have is, that's a 24-hour indicator. For what? I don't know. It's useless. It's useless. Instead, you got another date window at the bottom to mess up your dial. So now you got a messed up dial, and you got that second hand that's moving. It's a giant second hand. It's in your face all day long, all day, all night, telling you you're a peasant. That's what it's telling you. Exactly. Moise understands. Seconds are for peasants who need to be on time for meetings set by the aristocracy. Exactly. 100%. Because, when I summon the peasants to show up, I need them. They need to be there exactly on time. They need to be there exactly on time, right? They need to show up. They cannot be a second late. But as an aristocrat, I need to know, generally speaking, more or less, as a man of leisure, more or less to the minute where I am. Right now, when I show up to a meeting, I like to. By the way, I set my watch 2 minutes ahead of time. Generally speaking, my watches are 2 minutes ahead, just because, why take chances, right? You always want to be prepared. You want to show up early. You want to show up a few minutes early. But unlike a peasant, I don't need to know to the second, right? That's for the peasants. And this is exactly 100% correct. Exactly. This is true. So this is the problem. This sentient champ is nailing the issue on the head. The annual calendar for Patek Philippe has always been, I'll use the term compromise watch. I'm using a term coined by the king of all peasants himself. That's the Bogan of Brisbane, Archie Luxury, a compromise watch. And he should know, because he has compromise watches. Archie Luxury is the king of the compromise watch. He had, what is it? The annual calendar. Which one did he have? He had hang on, I don't even know the number. It's such a nasty watch. It's so nasty and vicious. Patek annual calendar. It's the one with the ugly hands. It's this one here. This is the one. This is the watch. This is the official watch of CUCKISTAN. Right there. Chomostan. That's right. Unbelievable, but true. What a piece of garbage. I mean, this is the watch that really marked the downfall of Patek Philippe. Again, you got multiple things wrong with this. Number one is you got the seconds hand, right? You got the seconds hand to tell you that you're a peasant. It's to tell you 24 hours a day that you're a peasant. You got the date window at the bottom because, again, they assume you're a moron and you can't read a radial dial, right? They assume you're a moron, and this is for peasants. And then you got this. What is this? I don't even know what plus minus. Is that the power? I don't even know what that is. Is that a power reserve? I have no idea. I've never. I don't want to know. I don't want to know because I would never want to own something like this. But the worst sin is these hands. Look at these hands. What? This is the worst hand. I mean, what do they call this? I think they call this like sword hands or leaf hands. I don't know what they call this, but they're ugly. They do have loom, but again, this is for peasants who need in the middle of the night. They wake up. They have no electricity. That's right. They wake up in their hovel. They got no electricity because their electricity has been shut off, or they're living in an outhouse. They have no outdoor plumbing, so they have no electricity. So they gotta have loom. Otherwise, they're not gonna know what time they have to show up for work for their master, for the aristocracy, right? That's why they need to have loom. The aristocrats don't need loom. They have sword hands. They don't need loom because when they wake up in the middle of the night, they have one of the servants turns on the lights for them. That's what happens. Now here's the other thing. You got multiple fonts, very messy. You got these modern fonts, but you got an old-fashioned look. It's this is a hot mess that only Archie Luxury could appreciate. Now, another variation. Again, you got the mess. This watch is kind of interesting. I actually find this dial kind of funky. It's this kind of Florentine. I don't know. I think they call it a Florentine type of finish. It gives it like a little texture. It's kind of cool, right? And you got a contrast. You got this kind of warm gray with the white gold. I think it's actually kind of cool. The problem is, again, you got those stupid, the font. You got a mess of designs, right? You got this white date, which sticks out like a sore thumb. It just sticks out. Look at this. They can't even do they cheaped out. They couldn't even make it a contrast, same color as the dial, maybe like a gray, instead of white, it should have been gray with a white font, right? But no, that's what they do. They're cheap. They're just, they don't think. They're Patek people, the fonts are ugly. The white windows, it's a mess. I like this texture though. It's cool. But they messed it up. So let's go back to the 5396, which is the king of peasant watches today. Let me show you the watch that I had so that you understand how it's easy to be seduced. It's easy to be seduced. If you don't know any better, it's very easy to be seduced by Patek. So that's right. Yours truly, the Colonel, had this watch right here. It was a moment of weakness. I actually had never seen it in person. It was during COVID. It was when was it? It was the year of 2020. I think it was like the summer of 2020. And this is right before prices started going bananas. It's kind of like there was a lull in the market, and these were selling at deep discount. Never paid retail. It was a discount, right? And I bought the watch because what it is? I thought, wow, you got the baguettes, the blue. I love the idea of the baguette diamonds on a blue background, right? The problem was right away. I noticed, what is the problem? The problem right away was the second hand was telling me I'm a peasant, basically. That second hand. See, originally, before I got this watch, my goal was the 3940. That was my goal, the 3940 perpetual calendar, the best watch Patek makes. That was, I don't want to use the word grail watch because that's like a term that only the CUCKISTANis and BUCKISTANis use. But the 3940 was, that's the watch I really wanted. I couldn't find the right one because it's hard to find the right one, full set, the right condition, all that stuff. And price. Price is everything, right? So I ended up with this. But I like the idea of the diamonds and the blue background. But here's the problem. You got the second hand, which was bothering me, right? But then the worst part, this 24-hour indicator, which totally useless, totally useless. And the dates, the whole thing, it was a mess. And then the other problem is, um, the diamonds don't go with rose gold. It doesn't work. You got to have white gold. Now, Patek was very smart. Thierry Stern listened to my advice. He listened to my advice, which I gave on this channel over the last, I don't know, 2 years. And I said, what they really should do is have the diamonds done in white gold. Okay. And look what a difference it makes. Much better. Much better. Right? The problem is you still have all the peasant issues. However, the one watch I actually think is a beautiful watch. Hang on. Let me pull this up. Let me pull this up, and then we'll go by. Where is it? Where is it? The bracelet. We got to look for the one in the bracelet. Hang on a sec. We got to find a good photo. It's hard to find good photos. I'll show you the rose gold. When they do it on the bracelet, right? It's kind of cool. It totally changes the nature of the watch. That's right. We got. We got one of Kino's. This is one of the cockroaches from what's his name, from Juan and Kino. This is one of Juan and Kino's tomato cans. That's right. This guy is the fanboy of Juan and Kino. This is the guy that he's going to be on the rowboat with him back to La Isla del Cucarachas. Oh, Sam Baron Davidson. Let me explain one of three things. I think in the case, if it's full gold, listen, here's the problem with bracelets. Very difficult to execute. There's very few people that have ever done a good bracelet. One is the Royal Oak, the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. And then you got Rolex Jubilee and Day-Date. Rolex Jubilee and President. Those are the two best bracelets. The Oyster bracelet, it's a bit of a tomato can. I have my Yacht Master is on an Oyster bracelet, but it is what it is. It's a two-tone. It doesn't bother me that much. But the Jubilee bracelet by Rolex is one of the most beautiful bracelets ever made, as is the Day-Date, and then you got the Royal Oak. It's difficult to make a good bracelet. Patek is not really good at making bracelets. This bracelet it's kind of okay. It's okay. It's not great. I had this watch on the wrist, and I got to tell you something. I loved it. On white gold. I had it on the wrist. I think I have a video somewhere on the channel. There's a video of me having this watch on the wrist. And in the background, you see Tweety Bird. That's the deputy droopy dog with the Tweety Bird haircut and the butthole eyes. He's in the background of the video. But what makes the difference with the bracelet, I'll tell you, it's a huge difference with this watch. Somehow or other, the bracelet makes the watch easier to wear on the wrist, because the problem with the lugs, with the strap, they flare out. I don't know. I can't explain it to you, but they just flare out in a very inappropriate way. It doesn't work. But on the bracelet, it waterfalls down around your wrist, and it looks quite beautiful. It looks a little bit, it's a little bit louche, L-O-U-C-H-E is how you spell it, I believe. This type of bracelet in white gold or rose gold, it's a little bit, it makes you look like a successful pimp, basically. It's the type of watch that a successful pimp would wear. It's a little bit disreputable is the word I would use on the bracelet. I think it's kind of cool. On the bracelet, it gives the watch totally different character. I would actually buy this. If the price was cheap enough, don't pay these tomato can prices. The watch should be 30 grand. It should be 30 grand. And by the way, all these watches are all trading way below retail. You buy any of these watches, you're going to immediately lose. I mean, immediately they're 30% below retail. Tuition. Sorry, Juan and Kino, those guys are stealing hubcaps. By the way, look at the watch that Juan, that tomato can wears, that hubcap thief. He's always wearing. The guy has no taste. That guy has no taste. He's always wearing like, just basic hype watches. Okay, he's got a Nautilus. Okay, he's got a Daytona, Royal. I mean, basic bitch watches. Juan is a basic bitch tomato can hubcap thief. That's what he is. Low life degenerate. That's funny, actually. That's you know what? That could be that could be the reason they did it. That could be the reason they did it. It's for degenerate. It's for the Chinese degenerates who are at the baccarat table at 3 in the morning. The Chinese, right? They show up at the baccarat table. They go there. It's not just the Chinese; it's really the whole Asian culture. But really, the Chinese are at the peak of it. But from what I understand, again, I'm not Chinese, obviously, but what I understand is basically when they go to a casino, it's really not. It's almost like it's. I mean, it's not even to make money. It's almost like a war of like my luck against your luck. It's some sort of a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual warfare. It's not even about the money. It's a spiritual thing almost in the Asian culture. And the idea is, that you're matching your luck against the casino's luck. It's not about the money almost. But when they show up to be there until they want to break the bank. I mean, they want to basically make the casino go bankrupt. They'll stay there for 3 days, 48 hours. I mean, they'll be there, that's why they need a 24-hour indicator. You're right. That's what they do it for. They do it for the Chinese market who needs to know that it's 4 a.m. and maybe they also need a chronograph. Oh, that's why they have a chronograph. You know what? That's probably why Bruce Lee, the Hong Kong super collector, he's got the chronograph. And does it have a 24-hour indicator? But it probably tells you that how long you're going there for, right? Probably has like a 48-hour thing so that that you're there for 2 days already. But back to the bracelet question, the eternal bracelet question. I think this watch on a bracelet is cool. If they did this with the diamonds, the baguettes, I think would be amazing. Or you can get the bracelet and put it. I guess I think it probably would fit. I don't know. I think maybe it was a slightly different case that they did. I'm not sure, but this is a very different watch. The price should be 30 grand. If it dropped to 25, I would buy one instantly. At 25 grand, I am a buyer of this watch. And I've seen one actually was all banged up and they get worn out. Here's the other problem with the watch. You got a giant bezel here. You got this giant bezel, which is a scratch magnet. It's a scratch magnet, and that's why you kind of want to wear this almost on a bracelet because it's going to get so scratched up that it's going to be like basically a tool watch. So, by the way, who bought this watch? You know who has this? This is the watch of the CUCKISTANis. One of the CUCKISTANis on the OCuck channel. I think is it Buckley? I think Buckley has one of these, and the OCuck himself. So I think what happened was this guy Buckley, who's basically like a peasant. He's a Long Island peasant. The Long Island peasant Buckley bought one of these. I think he actually has a Tiffany, it's a slightly better watch. Somehow or other they sold it to him because nobody else would want it, right? But he bought one of these, and sure enough, the OCuck, he looks at this as an arms race. He needs to be in good standing in that community because he knows he's a peasant. The OCuck knows he's a low-life peasant, and he knows he's a low-life peasant. So he knows that he needs to have hype watches in order for him to, be able to groom the young men of legal age. That's right. He's the groomer. He's got the pedo vibes. He's the guy that took Artem Pizdets, Tim Wright, clothes shopping for a haircut, manicure, and anal waxing. And we know he likes to travel with a young Asian gentleman. Now, what the relationship is, we don't know, but we know he likes to keep company with a young Asian gentleman. And Diego with the young Latino gentleman, he has a certain taste. It is what it is. He got he's got those pedo vibes. He's related. His good friend is Anthony Weiner, the registered sex offender. That's right. Anthony Weiner is, I think, his cousin or something, or they're related somehow. But he's a registered sex offender, and so it's kind of it's in the family. Lingus. Yeah, there you go, the baccarat table. Exactly. I think the ultimate watch for the baccarat table basically is that watch we saw in the bracelet in rose gold. But if you're in Japan, they do white gold. In Japan, they look at yellow gold as like a peasant metal. That's for the farm boys. I think they literally call it the farmer metal. Yeah, in Korea and Japan, they only like white gold. Yellow gold is for farmers. So listen, let's be real. The Japanese are the most advanced of the Asians. Second place is the Koreans, because the Koreans are very competitive with the Japanese, so they want to be better than the Japanese, which is why they make great electronics and cars, because they want to be competitive. And then you get the Chinese, which are basically like I don't know, they're the Chinese are kind of like the Japanese came out of China, but whatever. The Chinese think they own everything in Asia, but the Chinese like the yellow metal. The Japanese and Koreans are much more advanced. They like the white metal. It's a whole thing, So, but this is the ultimate baccarat table watch, I would say. So what happened was the OCuck got Buckley got this watch, and then the OCuck, he got very nervous, and he knew that his place in the hierarchy of CUCKISTAN was in danger. That's right, it was in danger. Yeah, see, these should be 30. Look, here's the problem with this watch. Let me explain to you one or three things. The problem with the 5396 is there's a lot of them. It's a mass. Look, they have 200 listings. Mass-produced watch. The cheapest one is 27 grand. By the way, this is what your bezel is going to look like after a year of wear. That's right. This is what it's going to look like after a year of on the wrist. It's going to be banged up, and it's going to be destroyed. It's going to be destroyed. So if you get this watch, you got to have it on the bracelet and just wear it as a tool watch. Then it's going to be kind of cool. If it's all banged up on a bracelet, it gives it character. You look like that guy, what's his name? Suckerhorn. It's like the sex tourist watch, right? So it's a cheap watch. Basically, it's 25 grand really should be the price. So that there's a lot of comps that are trading cheap. A lot of cheap comps. So you really cannot buy. It's almost like if you buy, for example, here's the mistake that the OCuck made. I'll explain to you the mistake. It's very easy. Very easy to understand. So I think he paid retail. And it's 65 grand retail, and it's already basically 50 grand right now. They're selling at a discount. That's right. Even Juan and Kino, the hubcap thieves, know that these things are going back below list. Unlike the 3940, that's right. The perpetual calendar 3940 keeps increasing in price. Okay, that one is going up and away. These 5396 are dropping like a stone. That's all you got to know. I mean, allegedly, these are hard to get. You walk into Patek, they say, "Oh, there's a way. Oh, you got to buy this first and that first." No. That's all nonsense. They're churning these out by the millions, and they're selling below retail. Look how many they have listed already. Look at this. This, in theory, is supposed to be a hot watch, and it's already 10 grand, 20% below list, 20%, actually 30% when you consider sales tax. So basically, you got anally sodomized by Juan and Kino. When you buy one of these, you're getting sodomized by Juan and Kino. This watch, again, when you have it on rose gold, and if you can get this for 35 grand, which is how much you should pay, chocolate dial, 35 grand, I think it's cool, actually. It's kind of tacky. It's louche. That's what it is. It's a sucker horn watch. It's the type of watch you wear to Bangkok, bangers, when you're going on a ladyboy, all-you-can-eat buffet or something at a Diddy weekend. When you're going on a Diddy weekend in bangers, yes. It is unbelievable. Yeah, the Aquanaut has the same problem. The Aquanaut really is a peasant watch. That's what it is. It's a peasant watch. It's made for people who can't afford a real Patek. It was always that way, right? It was always like, it was like a watch you got, like, okay, originally when you had an Aquanaut, it was assumed that you had that you owned a proper Patek, like a 3940, and the Aquanaut was the watch, that was your sport watch. It was the watch that you wore, for gardening, for, I don't know, diving in the pool or something. So now here's what's interesting. The 3940, look at this. Top prices now. I told you this a year ago. I told you a year and a half ago that they would break six figures. And here we are. We're in the six-figure range for the platinum model, which kind of is the undesirable. I don't like the platinum because it's a solid case. The white gold is going to be there in about a year. The white gold is going to be 100 G's. They're in the 80s now. And it's going to be 100. And a year ago, 2 years ago, they were, 50 grand. Not 2 years, 4 years ago, let's say 3-4 years ago. These things were 50 grand. Okay. Same price as a 5396R, as the annual calendar with the baguettes. What happened? The annual calendar dropped in price back down to where it was. This thing has nearly doubled. All right. This is what's happening. These things are on the move. The perpetual calendar is on the move. They're increasing in price. Look at this. We're in a bear market, allegedly, for watches, but it's increasing. Okay. Let's go back to the CUCKISTANi watches. So we talked about the 5396. I think I made it abundantly clear that the 5396 is the watch. Again, you got a second hand, makes it a peasant watch automatically. You got Windows, peasant. Okay, now let me show you some egregious examples of other Patek peasant watches. Here we go, right here. How do you know this is a peasant watch? It doesn't have a second hand. But you know what? Guess who owns one? One of the collectors with the absolute worst taste ever. Who's that? The guy who buys random watches, random high-end watches, just like weird, terrible examples. Who are we talking about? Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook. The guy who's, trying hard to be cool, very try hard. He's got one of these. I think this is one of the first watches he actually got. What's the problem with the watch? I'll tell you what the problem is. You got the day, date, month, all in one line. Why do they have it in one line? To save money. That's right, to save money. Otherwise, it would be more expensive to have separate cutout windows. And then you have a seconds hand. You got this is a seconds hand right there at the bottom. That's a seconds hand. And you got this thing over here, which, it's okay. I guess the leap year indicator, day-night indicator over here. It's the hands are dull and uninspired. I mean, it's kind of like a modern, they're trying to make it like minimalist and modern. I think they kind of failed because the design language of the watch is not really, you got too many different designs going on here. The case is kind of like, they're trying to make it look like a 34, 48, or it's a bit of a hot mess. And you got this like striped, what do you call it? Not striped, it's cerused, or what you call it? Like striated, or whatever you want to call it. Grained. I don't know. It just looks too sterile. It looks very sterile, and it's basically, you know who wears this type of watch? Again, a guy who wears T-shirts every day, who dresses up in T-shirts, the same color T-shirt, Mark Zuckerberg. Or now, I guess now he's done a different thing. He's doing a whole other thing. Weird, like, I don't know. The guy has no taste. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? Let's see here. Let's see. Yes, we should mention this. To become a baron, well, there's two ways. First, obviously, for $4.95, you click the join button. That's right, click the join button beneath this video, and automatically you'll become an aristocrat. That's right, instant aristocrat. An instant aristocrat, a baron. If you don't have $4.95, if you're broke and you're a wannabe, you want to, but you have aspirations of greatness, you can get our free weekly newsletter. Click the link in the video description below. There's a link. It says watchreporter.whatever or something. You paste that into your browser, and you get our free weekly newsletter. And you could become an aspirational aristocrat. That's right, an aspirational aristocrat. So yeah, this watch is, again, one of the worst watches. Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on a second. What is this? Oh, it's a Tiffany dial. Wait, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Whoa, hey, whoa. This, what is going on here? What is going on here? How much are they asking for this? Well, okay, this is this is like a joke, obviously. It's a joke. It's a joke. Okay, that was a joke. It's a goof. Yeah, it's, again, below retail, well below retail, dropping like a stone. Again, Mark Zuckerberg, zero taste. He buys the worst watches. He's got a what's the other watch that he's got a Chomo watch, which is the De Bethune. De Bethune is that's like a CUCKISTAN watch. Let's see, 5270. This watch, again, this has peasant vibes. I'm not going to say it's completely for peasants, but it gives off strong peasant energy. This watch has strong peasant. Oh, oh, look at this. He just, Baron Davidson just granted one of the peasants who did he give it to? Ross? Who's Ross? Is that Ross, the guy who shows up naked on the streams? Which one is that? Yeah, okay, that's what's going on. I'm telling you, this guy Zuck, 100% is what's going on. This is what I mentioned. Basically, he's got, like, I think, a lot of these people, they have like stylists. They don't dress themselves. You know what's interesting? I bet that's what's going on actually. Like I think his stylist, because all of a sudden he started wearing like different outfits now. He used to wear like the hoodies and the t-shirts before, the same hoodie and t-shirt for years, right? That was his uniform because he copied Steve Jobs. All these guys are copycats. He copied Steve Jobs with a t-shirt thing. You know who's still doing that? That guy, Altimeter Capital. What's his name? What the hell's his name? He's another one of these VCs. He's doing the same bullshit with the black t-shirts. I mean, the guy's he's in his 50s already. He's still wearing the black t-shirts. I mean, come on. Black t-shirts in the winter in San Francisco, it gets cold, right? That's Gerstner. Gerstner is his name. Zuckerberg is actually a member of CUCKISTAN, Planet CUCKISTAN. Ross, that's right. Gave Ross, that's right. Our good friend Ross. That's fun. It's so funny. How do you find these guys? How do you find their name? I don't know how do you find them. He's not showing up on the channel. We haven't seen him in a long time. But anyway, what's going on is I think what happened is this guy Zuckerberg, he got a stylist. He probably got like, I bet it's probably like a 24-year-old, it's probably like some trying to think. I'm almost willing to say it's a female. I don't think it's a male. It's either like a weird, like one of these guys that's the Supreme Hoodie type of guy, or it's like some sorority chick, some like 24-year-old sorority chick who got out of, I don't know, like she couldn't make it at Stanford or something. It's probably it's definitely somebody under the age of 25 who really has no idea of like any type of style. They don't have any kind of real sensibility. So they're dressing up Zuck in these like hoodies with the branded stuff and with the hair. Have you noticed the thing he's doing with the hair? Now he's wearing like the gold chains. Like, I mean, it's cringy. It's very cringy. And that same sensibility translates into watches. That same person is basically picking out the watches from they oh, you need like a watch for your outfit. Like, the problem is this, right? Like, the problem is if you rely on people who don't know anything, like they're gonna get you like what they read about. Like, it's very obvious that whoever is getting them these watches, like they heard from somebody, oh, that's the thing. They read somewhere an article, or they saw. They're like, they buy with their ears, not their eyes, right? So like, they're buying the watches that are like talked about by all the grifters and the scammers. And the most grifted watch is the De Bethune. The De Bethune, the shitter of all shitters. The De Bethune is the shitter of all shitters. Guys, don't drink the Kool-Aid. The De Bethune is a shitter watch. Now, let me be clear, as the politicians say. So first of all, look at these lugs. It looks like some sort of like speculum. The lugs, they move on some of them. They got that speculum vibe, like or medical instrument, dental, like I don't know. The back is kind of a hot mess. It has some interesting elements. I do have to admit, it has like some things that are kind of cool. Technically, I understand there's some advanced. They do some advanced stuff. They got a cool crown. There's some cool stuff. But the hands are like, what the fuck are these hands? It's a hot mess. The hands are a hot mess. The design is really, it's a mixture of like just random elements. Very well done. Very, very well done. But it's a mixture of just random elements. And by the way, who's spruiking this? The 1916 company. That's right. Watchbox. Tim Masso. That's the Illuminati. The Watchbox is the Illuminati. This watch is actually, it's kind of cool. No, I think, look at this. The thing has got the cool like screw and thing. It's kind of, I mean, I like this two-tone thing, whatever it is. It's kind of interesting, right? Would I buy this? No. But actually, the lugs here are actually interesting. At least this is interesting. This is actually beautifully made. I have to admit, this is actually it's like a Royal Oak knockoff or a Bulgari knockoff. You see the Bulgari vibes. You got the Bulgari vibes. You got the peasant vibes, the Chomo and Pedo vibes going strong here. This is the Speculum watch. I mean, it looks like a Star Wars Speculum or something. Yeah. That's what's going on. So I think he's got like some chick. Like I bet she's like some 24-year-old who's like dressing him like, like what she I think she's getting these ideas from like articles she reads on like, in Vogue magazine or something, or like, I don't know, Cosmopolitan, not even Vogue. I'm sorry, not Vogue. Vogue actually is for women who have style. Vogue is for women of class. Cosmopolitan is for basically, sorority girls who have STDs. And I bet Zuck's assistant has had multiple abortions and STDs, and she's picking out these watches for him, the clothes and everything. I mean, this is not like, he doesn't wear like, like all his clothes, like it's just like garbage, like with the hoodies. Who the fuck dresses like that? Seriously, I mean, the guy has money, right? He can, wear some decent clothes. Look at, for example, look at the, what's his name? What's the guy? The the Bangladeshi, Chamath Palpatia. Chamath Palpatia. That guy has style. Chamath Palpatia has style. I think actually it's probably his girlfriend or his wife now. She probably picks out the clothes for him, or she did, because he dressed like kind of a little bit sloppy, and all of a sudden now he's head to toe Loro Piana. It's probably, but listen, if you go to Loro Piana, you really can't go wrong. I mean, if you just go to Loro Piana and say, hey, just give me everything, it's not going to be bad. It's going to be basically like, very classical, timeless. He's like the Loro Piana man. And he has some interesting watches. Chamath Pahalpatia. He's not from Bangladesh. He's actually from, what he called from, he's not from Chomostan, Bukyakistan, or Kukistan. He's from, what's that place called? Somalia? No, not Somalia. What the hell is the place? It'll come to me. It's Sri Lanka. I think it's Sri Lanka, right? I think he's from Sri Lanka. By the way, in Italy, there's a lot of Sri Lankans in Italy. I don't know why they all go to Sri Lanka. They're all in Sri Lanka, in Italy. Yeah. That's, yeah, he escaped from Canada. Yeah. Well, yeah, basically, Canada is basically where all the third-class Americans end up, or, people who can't make it in America, who are not good enough for America. They end up in Canada. It's like Canada, Australia are basically, those are like, it's kind of like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK. Those are basically those are like third-rate Americans, basically. People who are not good enough to be Americans end up in those countries. Instead of, ending up in like, Bukyakistan, they end up in Australia or whatever, right? Yeah, that's what happens. So where were we? 52. Did I show you the 5236? Wait. Okay, so let's sum it up here. Let's sum it up. What do we learn today? What we learned today is, yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, I think what happened was, I think his wife is Italian, right? I think she's actually like his wife is actually a legitimate aristocrat. His wife actually she might be a member of our channel, because she's actually, I think she might be like a minor Italian aristocrat. But she's, she comes from like, some old money. And she, yeah, really good looking. I don't know what she's doing with him, but she's the, once he got with her, she was like, listen, like, look, the Italians have style. She didn't want to be embarrassed by this guy with his like, sloppy clothes. So she said, Chamath, here you go. Let me take the black card, and we're gonna go to Loro Piana. Yeah, no, Brunello Cucinelli is actually highly overrated. Highly overrated. It's actually, what Brunello Cucinelli is? Brunello Cucinelli is the Patek annual calendar of artisanal clothing. It's really bad designs. Yeah, they're if you look at their stuff, it's kind of like the jackets are all like too small. It's kind of like it's kind of like I think what the problem is Brunello Cucinelli. They're based in the north, right? They're in what is it? North of Milan, one of those areas, right? Or I think what are they? But they're in the north of Italy, right? But their designs are based on kind of a Neapolitan look, and it doesn't translate. They can't do it. They can't. It's almost like the northern Italians are basically Swiss. The Milanese are almost like Swiss. They're not real Italians. The real Italians are like when you go Rome and below. The Florentines are, kind of semi-Italians, I guess, whatever. But the north. I mean, when you go to Milan, you might as well be like in Switzerland already. It's not the same. Yeah. So the Brunello Cucinelli is absolute overpriced garbage. It's absolute trash. You can check his underwear. His. I don't think it is actually. I don't think so. I think it's. I don't think so. I think it's Loro Piana. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I've never. You know what? I might be wrong. I might. Okay. Okay. Hang on a second. Okay. Let me back up. I've seen his like jackets, like the kind of suits, jackets. That stuff could be Brunel because it's a little bit. The fit is the cut is a little bit sloppy, and I don't. And Loro Piana doesn't make suits. They don't make suits. I don't think they make it. They make the fabric for it, but they don't make suits. And so I think maybe his jackets or stuff like that could be Brunello. I think that's what it is. But whatever. Yeah, but Brunello Cucinelli is it's really just bad. It's not. It's just weird designs. It's like what this is. And let's take a look here. Okay, so to wrap up, gentlemen, what have we learned today? What have we learned is that Patek annual calendars, all Patek annual calendars are peasant grade. And here we go. Here's and again, this is actually one of the better ones. I think who had one of these? I think Mr. Bukiak himself. I think JJ. I think the Il Duce di Bukiakistan, had one of these. Notice, no deployment here. That's cost cutting. And this watch actually has some promise. It's a little bit big. Again, you got those lugs. They're just too big for the watch. And you got the windows again, and you got the second. Basically, it's got 3 strikes against it. 3 real strikes. Number one is you got a seconds hand, peasants. You got the windows. Again, that's for children, infants. And you got the 24-hour indicator, which is really, I don't know, it's useless. Unless you're a degenerate Macau gambler at the Baccarat table. Yeah. So again, peasant grade. Better. This is actually not bad looking. This type of watch, like, what this watch is? This is the type of watch that would actually impress like some sort of like, mid, like, upper, I would like a higher grade prostitute. Like a higher grade prostitute would be impressed by this because like should say, oh, Patek Philippe. Oh, they don't really know, but they say, oh, Patek Philippe. So like a better quality prostitute, like a mid-range Dubai Russian prostitute in Dubai would be impressed by this watch. But the serious gold digger would be going for this, because she would know that whoever has this is obviously the true aristocrat, not the wannabe. I mean, this is the watch, for the guy who has the private jet, and this is the watch for the guy who charters, or who mooches off his friends to get a flight on their charter. Timeshare. This is a timeshare watch. So again, the seconds hand windows are for peasants only. Do not, and I mean do not, stop paying for Thierry Stern's 240-foot yacht. Stop paying his fuel bills. You know what's paying his fuel bills and his yacht bills is all those Nautilus. That's why he called it the Nautilus. Don't you understand? That's why he called this boat the Nautilus, because all you tomato cans, all you crayon eaters and window lickers who bought the Nautilus and the Aquanaut paid for that boat. That's right. That is 100%. 100%. Okay. What did we learn? 3940 is the way to go. Patek 5396, the 5205. Anything with the seconds hand with windows is for peasants. It is what it is. I'm sorry to break the news to you. Now that you've gotten some valuable information, you can go on with your lives. So we're going to thank the show sponsors today. We got new member, new baron, new aristocrat, sentient champ. We got Baron Davidson, $5 super chat, $3 super chat, or whatever that is. And he also lifted one of the peasants. He lifted a man out of the peasanthood and into the aristocracy. That's right. Now that is a true philanthropist. That is a true philanthropist. You don't just give a man a fish because that'll feed him for a day. You teach him how to fish, right? And the mark of a real philanthropist is to lift the peasants out of peasanthood and into, the aristocracy. So on that note, we'll see you on the next live stream, and a happy New Year to all.